Let's now move to something else that actually emerged from Parliament. The entire question of Delhi and the future of Delhi and how Delhi should be governed. Now, the images on your screen depict India's growth story, India's growing dominance in world affairs, India's constant effort to make its capital, New Delhi, into a world-class city. Now, how much progress has been made? How much progress still remains to be made? Now, the answer is somewhat complex, but it's an important story because as the India story rolls forward, India needs a world-class capital. So we're going to try and simplify this complex answer for our viewers over this program. And we must start our story from the new Parliament complex where the Delhi Services Bill was passed earlier this week. Now, that more or less gives the central government increasing authority over the Delhi government on the control of administrative services and the transfer of officers in the national capital. Delhi, after all, is the seat of the central government, at the same time of the local government. And there is where the conflict is, there is where the conflict has been, and that's where this entire battle has been there over this bill and over an ordinance. Now, the centre promulgated an ordinance a short while back that sought to overturn a Supreme Court verdict that had given executive powers to the Arvind Kejriwal government in service matters, which included transfer and posting of officers. And since May, Kejriwal rallied and made lots and lots of efforts to try and get this particular bill to be blocked in the upper house, even securing the backing of a reluctant Congress. But Naveen Patnaik's Biju Janata Dal and Jagan Reddy's YSRCP sided with the centre. And as a result, the bill has been cleared by the Rajya Sabha as well. And it is now, once the president gives assent, it's going to be law. And that does tilt the balance of who has the dominant position in Delhi. It shifts it from Arvind Kejriwal, the Aam Aadmi Party and the state government, to the central government and to the lieutenant governor. The new bill revokes some aspects of the ordinance and in theory, it claims to follow the powers provided by the Constitution to the Parliament to pass laws regarding the governance of Delhi. The amendments introduced this time seek to establish a permanent National Capital Civil Service Authority headed by the Chief Minister to give recommendations to the LG on the postings and the control of civil servants. But the LG has been given the power to make appointments as well. Similarly, for commissions or bodies established by Parliament, for Delhi, the President shall have the power to appoint or nominate members. But multiple provisions in the bill, while outwardly in accordance with established precedents, are used by the Aam Aadmi Party now to say that the centre's essentially got the opportunity and the ability to actually wield power over civil servants and then therefore effectively wield power in the city of Delhi. Now, all of this tussle has been playing itself out and has now played itself out in Parliament, and it's very clear that the central government has now won that particular battle and therefore has a lot of power and a lot of influence in Delhi. But the question now is, what happens then to the actual woes and the problems of Delhi? Will the resolution of this particular battle now make it easier or more difficult for the problems of Delhi to be fixed? And what happens to that dream of making Delhi into a world-class capital? Now, when you come to look at it from the point of view of Delhi, there are problems and there are woes that are actually dramatically visible every time it rains heavily. While some parts of the city are being beautified for the impending G20 summit in September, other parts of the city clearly need a massive upgrade. Will the bill expedite Delhi's infrastructural transformation? That is a question that is up for debate, and we are going to be discussing it over the course of the next 10-15 minutes. But before we dissect what works and what doesn't work for Delhi, let's briefly look at how major capitals in the rest of the world are actually administered. Washington, D.C., the American capital, has an elected mayor and a council with limited powers. But importantly, the US Congress has a veto power. The Australian capital, Canberra, much like Delhi, also has an elected assembly and a government, but it has limited powers. In Japan, Tokyo is governed by a metropolitan government, a self-governing body with a 127-member assembly. London, The capital of the United Kingdom has a mayor, a civic body for central London, and local councils for boroughs. In Canada, the federal government controls land use planning and the major infrastructure of the capital, Ottawa. In Berlin, the German government looks after security and policy coordination. So it's a bit of a mixed picture what happens in the rest of the world. Moving to Delhi, what is working and what is not working for the capital? How close is Delhi to actually becoming a world-class city? Let's first begin with the good parts, the good news. Let's begin with a fact. More than being a mode of transportation, the Delhi Metro is an infrastructural marvel. It has brought transformational changes to public transportation in the capital. It is continuing to be expanded, and once the rapid rail system also comes in, Delhi is going to have a pretty good public transport system. Delhi also has the most extensive road network in India. 21% of its geographical area is motorways. The city now boasts of 75 flyovers that ease traffic congestion, as against just 5 in 1982 at the time of the Asian Games. About 99% of Delhi's households have power lines, compared to only 67% nationally. Delhi, of course, has got one of the highest per capita incomes in the country by some distance. And a very important fact, green cover in the capital has actually shot up and shot up sharply over the last 2 decades. Delhi is one of the greenest capital cities anywhere in the world. You wouldn't believe it looking at the pollution, but Delhi is actually a very green city. And that's the good part. What's the bad part? What's really holding Delhi back? Well, the main challenges are some of these. Well, crime, for example. Okay, Delhi is not a crime-ridden city like Soweto or Johannesburg or some cities in Brazil, but at the end of the day, there has been a 15% rise in crime registration over 2021 over 2020. And in particular, there's been a perception for a while that Delhi is unsafe for women. Crimes against women, those continue to go up. 3 rapes happen in Delhi daily on average. But while you could debate just how bad Delhi is from a crime point of view, there is no debating this particular issue in Delhi. For at least 4 months in the year, the national capital of India turns into a gas chamber. For years now, Delhi has ranked among the most polluted cities anywhere in the world. In winter, it becomes absolutely unbearable. 300, 400, 500 on the AQI. Those are not conditions that any human should or can actually live under without a severe impact on health. And Delhi goes through this day after day, month after month, every single winter. Then there's the entire challenge that comes from traffic congestion. Yes, there are great roads, there are lots of roads, lots and lots of space is given to the roads, but Delhi's ranking in global metro congestion indices has also fallen from 8 to 11 in 2021. In the same year, Delhi had spent 152 hours extra when driving in rush hour. And then there is an entire question that is now opening up around social cohesion in the capital. There seems to be some sort of a repeat of tensions that is coming up. 3 years ago, when former US President Donald Trump came visiting, there were actual riots that took place in one part of Delhi. And that, of course, had a major impact. And now there's tension taking place on the outskirts of Delhi in the area of Gurugram. And, of course, way back, 1984, there were those infamous Delhi riots that took place. So social cohesion is another question that continues to loom over Delhi. So there are good things in Delhi and around Delhi, and there are bad things. Now, the question is, what can we do to make the national capital a world-class city? All right, but let me not make this into a generalized rant. One of the main purposes of this particular program is also to look for solutions. So let's try and find answers. Okay, now there is some clarity on where the Delhi government and the central government stand when it comes to questions of services. You may not like the answers, or you may like the answers, but okay, that's happened now. Let's look at some of the other aspects of what is holding Delhi back. What has happened to the master plan of Delhi? A master plan 41 that was supposed to set in stage a particular pathway for the development of city. And what happens to this entire question of dual responsibility? For example, road maintenance in India's capital is controlled by 6 agencies, by the way, which are either reporting to the center or to local government. a similar situation with land usage. There's the MCD, there's the DDA, there's the NDMC. Other agencies also have control. Urban planning comes under 4 different implementing agencies. So for that matter, does water supply. Can we try and find a way to streamline this? And can we try and get that master plan moving forward? Joining us to discuss this, Bhupender, Bazad, the president of the Delhi Master Plan Committee of the Delhi Dehat Vikas Manch, somebody who's been really getting a lot of RWAs and others together to push for action as soon as possible. We're also joined by Balwinder Kumar, who was the vice chairman of the DDA and one of the people who tried very hard to push those policies forward and set them into implementation mode. So what is Delhi's path for becoming a world-class city? Yes, this bill has been passed, but what's going to happen now going forward? Bhupender Bazad now joins us, president of the Delhi Master Plan Committee of the Delhi Dehat Vikas Manch. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be speaking to Balwinder Kumar, who was actually the vice chairman of the DDA and therefore knows what all the plans for Delhi are. But Bhupender ji is one of the people who's been actually leading the charge. A lot of resident welfare associations and others have come together and they've been really agitating and clamoring that somehow Delhi should be fixed and Delhi should be improved. What is holding it back? Why is it that the master plan is not being notified and Delhi is not getting the chance to become the sort of a city we would like it to become?
Thank you, Vikram ji. आपने जो है इस इतने अहम मुद्दे को आपने आज शो में शामिल किया है. एक्चुअल में ये पॉलिसीज़ जो दिल्ली के अंदर मास्टर प्लान 2021 स्टार्ट हुआ था और इसके अंदर 2 पॉलिसीज़ मेजर पॉलिसी थी, जिसकी जो बाकी बची हुई दिल्ली है अराउंड 1 लाख एकड़ 1 लाख एकड़ लैंड्स जो अभी बची हुई थी दिल्ली के अंदर, उन पे ग्रीन फील्ड है, उनके ऊपर डेवलपमेंट होनी थी. उसमें 2 मेजर पॉलिसी थी. GDA पॉलिसी जो लगभग 88 विलेजेस को कैटर करेगी और 105 विलेजेस को लैंड पूलिंग पॉलिसी.
और फ़र्क इसमें यह है कि GDA जो पॉलिसी है वो एसेंशियली कहती है कि जो एग्जिस्टिंग जगह हैं जहां एग्जिस्टिंग फार्म हाउसेस सब हैं या एग्जिस्टिंग अगर कुछ कंस्ट्रक्शन है तो उसको कैसे कंट्रोल किया जाए. लैंड पूलिंग का मतलब है कि लोग एक साथ इकट्ठा आएँ, लैंड को पूल करें लिटरली और वहाँ डेवलपमेंट हो.
करेक्ट.
तो ये सब मास्टर प्लान में है, पर सब लोग ये पूछ रहे हैं मास्टर प्लान गया कहाँ?
अभी मास्टर प्लान के साथ साथ में एक्चुअली में ये दोनों पॉलिसीज़ को लागू करने के लिए मास्टर प्लान 2021 में पहले था, अब ये 2041 के अंदर आ गया. 2041 बिल्कुल रेडी है, एवरीथिंग इज़ रेडी, कोई भी चीज़ उसमें पेंडिंग नहीं है DDA की तरफ से भी और गवर्नमेंट के जो दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं उनकी तरफ से भी. अभी सिर्फ एक तो ये 2 जो पावर शेयरिंग हो रखा है, ड्यूल गवर्नमेंट चल रही है दिल्ली की और सेंटर की. मेरे को तो लगता है कि इसकी वजह से ये पॉलिसीज़ दिल्ली का विकास रुका हुआ है काफ़ी लंबे समय से और अब टाइम है कि दोनों पॉलिसियाँ रेडी हैं और बन के ग्राउंड पे लाई जा सकती हैं. अदरवाइज अनऑथराइज कंस्ट्रक्शन इस दिल्ली को खाता जा रहा है.
क्योंकि द रियल प्रॉब्लम इज दिस कि अगर आपके पास कोई फर्म पॉलिसी नहीं हो, अगर कोई रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क नहीं हो, अगर ऑथराइजेशन या डेवलपमेंट के कोई नॉर्म्स नहीं हो तो क्या होगा? लोग इलीगली करेंगे, पैसा दे देंगे तो करप्शन भी है और जमीन पर सिचुएशन भी खराब होती जा रही है. क्या यही सिचुएशन है एसेंशियली?
अभी एग्जैक्टली यही हो रहा है. लगभग ये समझ लीजिए हर साल में लगभग 400 से 500 एकड़ अनऑथराइज कंस्ट्रक्शन की भेंट चढ़ रही है और मोदी जी का विज़न है कि 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमिक इसको इंडिया को बनाना है 2024 तक. तो उसमें एक ये बहुत बड़ा बूस्ट भी आएगा. दोनों पॉलिसीज मास्टर प्लान 2041 अगर लागू होता है तो लगभग 25 लाख करोड़ रुपया दिल्ली के अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट आएगा और इसका आप देखो इकोसिस्टम जो बनेगा, जो इतने इन्वेस्टमेंट आने के बाद उसका इम्पैक्ट बहुत बड़ा जाने वाला है.
चलिए आपने DDA की बात करी, MCD की बात करी. So let's now just turn to Mr. Balwinder Kumar now joining us. He's been the vice chairman of the DDA and therefore has seen all the efforts that have been made for a period of time to try and make Delhi into a world-class city. Well, Mr. Balwinder Kumar, you've been the vice chairman of the DDA, the man in the hot seat. You've seen all the efforts that have been made to try and make Delhi into a world-class city. Now, many people say that one of the reasons why Delhi is not going forward very fast is divided responsibility. What is the DDA doing? What is the MCD doing? What is the central government doing? What is the state government doing? In the long-term future, if Delhi is to be made into a world-class city that is the capital of one of the fast-growing countries in the world, what should be done? Do you agree with all of those issues, or do you think development is happening properly?
Yeah, absolutely agree. But because before I come to the Master Plan 2041, which everybody is talking about, because ultimately one direction for planned development is to be given. And this direction is always given by the Master Plan. So 2041 Master Plan is for 20 years down the line, what kind of development should be there. That is all envisaged in the master plan.
Well, Mr. Kumar, of course, there are lots of policies, including some that you yourself are pushing, like land pooling, but a lot of this has also gone into a master plan. That master plan technically has the blueprint which can convert Delhi into that world-class city we are talking about. When do you think that master plan is going to be notified? When is it going to come, or is there no clear idea so far?
You reserve for plantation, that is not the problem. Green area problem is these around 100 villages, this five uh, zones, they are covered under land pooling policy. If we don't announce land pooling policy, that the whole area of nearly 20 revenue villages will be converted into concrete jungle. What has happened in 85 urbanized villages as well. So I was saying that Delhi is basically in two parts. One is unauthorized illegal colonies, 85 urbanized villages, where crores, where nearly, I think, 35 to 40% population resides there. Master plan is talking about land area, not about this area. And if you visit any urbanized village, you will find it's a concrete jungle in the sense that there are 7 stories, 6 stories on a plot of say 200 meter or even 150 meter. Blatant violation of all building norms. If there is a fire brigade vehicle cannot go inside in many areas of these urbanized villages. That is a big challenge. Government must do this. You just have a cutoff date, and then you see now no more construction. This is one. Second is planned area where there is a land pooling policy, transit oriented TOD policy, and green area, parking, traffic, multimodal system, they all come. Those issues are not very challenging as far as I think. The more challenge lies here in urbanized villages.
Mr. Kumar, we almost seem to be seeing two Delhis right now. You've got look at the beautiful central vistas there, the new Parliament building, Pragati Maidan, world-class airport coming up. You've got the possibility for a really good road network. The metro is so great. So, to one extent, you've got a potential first world-class city. But that is coexisting with a second city, a city which is a complete mess, where traffic is constantly jammed, illegal construction is taking place, pollution everywhere, you can't breathe the air. There are two cities out here. Which of the two Delhis is eventually going to win, in your view?
Since the government is not deciding on these issues, contentious issues, ultimately these areas, urbanized villages, they will pose a big challenge in time to come. Government is not deciding on land pooling policy. There is a land pooling policy. The government, but that land pooling policy is on paper. It is not implemented. If it is not implemented even after 7, 8 years, what will happen to that area? Everybody knows that. So ultimately, these challenges are far more serious than ये तो जो Lutyens zone है, the real Delhi, which New Delhi, South Delhi, जो हम लोग सब जानते हैं. अच्छा, like you take farmhouses. Government is not deciding anything on farmhouses. आप उनको regularize करेंगे. Where is the water supply? Water table is going down and down. एंड चोरी जो है वो सब पानी जो है एक्सट्रैक्ट हो रहा है. देयर आर मेनी प्रॉब्लम्स. सो
All right, Mr. Balwinder Kumar, you're not sounding terribly optimistic about the future of Delhi, but are you still hopeful that perhaps something could get done?
why you are let me respond to this. Yes, I sound like very pessimistic because I have seen these issues very, very closely. And I have also seen issues pending for a long, long time. And the government is not deciding this. So that is why I'm sounding a bit like pessimistic. But yes, as far as master plan is concerned, I think after a lot of discussions among various stakeholders, they have, it must be good. All they have taken world class norms, they have taken into account.
तो बजाज जी, बलविंदर कुमार जी थोड़ा निराश से लग रहे थे कि पता नहीं दिल्ली में तरक्की होगी कि नहीं होगी. पर अब अगर एक तरह से सारे पावर्स एलजी के पास हैं, सर्विसेज के पास हैं, सबके पास हैं, तो अब क्या हो सकता है कि डेवलपमेंट में तेजी आएगी?
वी आर वेरी होपफुल. और बलविंदर जी का डिसअपॉइंट होना लाजमी है कि उनका एक तरीके से बेबी है. ये जब पॉलिसी स्टार्ट हुई थी 13 के अंदर फर्स्ट टाइम बनी थी और सेकंड टाइम 18 के अंदर बनी. तो अभी जो बेसिकली सिर्फ दो इशू मेजर इश्यूज हैं जिसको सॉल्ट आउट करते ही दोनों ही पॉलिसियाँ विद इन 2 months ग्राउंड पर आ सकती हैं. नंबर 1, डीडी एक्ट जो अभी चेंजेस के लिए डाला हुआ है, जो संसद से पास होना, एवरीथिंग इज़ रेडी. सारा डिस्कशन हो चुका है, इवन जीओएम भी इसके ऊपर बैठ चुका है. सेकेंड इज़ मास्टर प्लान 2041. दोनों ही चीज़ें रेडी हैं. इसमें कुछ माइनर चेंजेस बाकी हैं जो अभी ड्यू टू फ्लड अभी आए हैं.
Mr. Bazad, thank you so much for joining us. Well, hope springs eternal. As I was saying, one of the world's fastest growing and largest countries deserves to have a world-class capital. There has been this big political row, and that row will continue. Who's in charge of Delhi? Which is it, the center or is it the state government? And there will be argument and fighting between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party or other political parties as well. But hopefully somewhere in the middle of all of this, the basic question of building a world-class capital for India, an important aspect of the India story. Hopefully that will continue.